It is 1:07. Good afternoon, everybody. We're going to call this meeting to order. And present with me are other board members, Amanda Williams, Matthew Shoemaker, Marchie Burney. Joe Greco has sent his regrets. Also present are the chief and deputy chief, Lincoln and Angela and Sarah. Thank you for attending. And our administrator, Lisa. I'm going to begin with our territorial acknowledgement. We'd like to begin by acknowledging we are on the Robinson-Huron Treaty Territory. And the land in which we're gathered today is the traditional territory of the Anishinaabe, specifically Garden River First Nation, Batchewana First Nation, as well as Métis people. And we recognize our shared responsibility to care for these lands, waters, and the people who have stewarded them since time immemorial. Thank you. Do we have any conflict of interest declarations this afternoon? I don't see any. Thank you. May I have a motion to accept the open agenda, please, Marchie? And seconded, Matt? That's carried. And the open minutes of March 25th, that was the May 27th minutes that motion, excuse me, that was the May 27th agenda we've accepted. Now the minutes from March 25th, please, if I could have a mover. Amanda, thank you.
I just had a question on them. It was on number 12 of the minutes. And I think the answer is because it was deferred, there was nothing inserted into the blank there.
Correct.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to verify that.
Thanks, Matt.
I think Marchie lifted to second.
Did you second that, March? Thank you. And that is carried. We're going to move on now to communication reports from the chief. So I'll hand it over to you, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I will hand it over to my head of finance, Angela.
Certainly. First item is the special account ledger for the board. Just an update of the balance as of March 31st. So the balance in the checking account is just over $68,000. We have some funds in the auction account sitting there, just over $7,000, and then the board has their investments still working for them. Next report is the overtime. Overtime for the month of April is up. We have been trending down. It's up a little bit over the previous couple months, and it's up over the April overtime for the previous few years. The reason being for that, the bulk of it is we've had call for service driven, basically surveillance and some execution of warrants that month, which brings out the entire ESU team, as well as the CSU FD.
We also had one platoon in particular had a number of officers go off with WSIB issues, so we had to grade some call outs there, is my understanding. So.
Staff shortage reports, there's two of them. One of them is both serve and patrol together. It is still on the lower side compared to previous years. Part of this is due to staffing. We do have a little bit of an increase in the serve calls for service, and that's just due to some personnel issues. Years. That's it for me.
All right. So statistical reports, obviously, with these reports are as of March, we're into May now, so they're kind of out of date already. But if there's any questions anybody has on any specific statistical reports, you had the opportunity to review them. Again, one of the examples, violent crime is down, but we've had homicides since came out, so that they change because we're always kind of reporting late. So I don't get into them unless anybody has any specific questions. Year to dates are all done. IPV. Again, we're not reporting. I think we're reporting quarterly now. So zone stats for which would be Prince Township. Year to date, we are at as of March, we're at 10 calls for service. Here today, we're at 20. So very similar trends year after year out there is traffic enforcement, police assistance, those types of calls, and a few IPV calls along the way. So again, good relationship with Prince. They call, we go, and it's been a kind of a similar pattern year after over the last 4 or 5 years. So nothing new there. As of April, we've had for the IPV callback, we've had 364 callbacks. 4 new investigations initiated and 1 new charge laid. So that would be for this year only up to including March, or I'm sorry, up to including April. Divisional 2 stats. So that would be our downtown Division 2 officers. January, February, March, and April, total to date, 187 arrests have been made down there so far this year, or up till April, I'm sorry. 150 criminal code charges, 11 CDSA charges, would be drug charges, 170 tickets, 6 bylaw. Property checks, 195. We've also had 20 referrals, so that would be deal with individual referring to other service, PSAB or addiction services, which is part of our, anytime we deal with an individual, we offer services. And it's up to them, obviously, if they want to initiate, but we certainly put that offer out. 49 hours of foot patrol and bike patrol, obviously, start of the year, bike patrol, you start to pick up now, the summer's here.
Chief, just a question on the IPV callbacks. Do you see a correlation in those? Am I understanding that term right? Is that you attend, person says everything's okay now, and then changes their mind, calls the police and say, come back? I want to charge now?
So the design is we go to the initial call. If there is no IPV charge laid, although it may have been an IPV instance, so it could have been property retrieval, it could have been just a verbal argument. We call back, try to get the call back within 24 to 48 hours with the intention that the individual didn't feel comfortable reporting at that time or did not want to disclose or was emotionally charged. And now they've had to think about, they just asked, were you satisfied? You need a safety plan? We just kind of go through, and there's no thank you, I appreciate it. But in certain instances, they go, yeah, you know what, there was something I wanted to tell the officer, I didn't comfortable telling it. Doesn't always result in charges, obviously, but sometimes there's more information, or we have an officer go back and then speak with them again and determine if there's grounds for a charge. So it's just a second opportunity to just make disclosure if they didn't feel comfortable, perhaps when the officers were there, or emotions got high and they didn't have an opportunity or didn't feel they wanted to present full story to the officer. It gives them another opportunity to do that.
Thank you. I know you explained that program to us earlier,
Mhm.
and it sounds like it's very effective. So I wanted you to highlight it, and that's great. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I mean, the numbers, the callback at 400 and the new investigations at 4 and the new charges at 1 means we're doing a good job up front is what I would say. We're doing a good job at the front end of it. I mean, we're just making sure we're not missing anything. And it's a safety net for us essentially, and for the potential victims.
Thank you.
Just a question for the Division 2. The arrests for 62 for April, what would they be? I mean, you don't have to itemize each one, but in general.
Well, some of them can be new occurrences, so we're dealing with an individual cause mischief, cause damage, or it could be arrested on a warrant. So if they come across a lot of individuals in the downtown core that potentially have outstanding warrants, if they come to contact, they would execute those warrants and make that arrest. You're seeing a lot of there's no loitering charges or anything like that. We don't lay those charges, but public mischief, damage to other people's property, theft, those kinds of calls. So, but I would suggest a lot of them are probably calls that initiated potentially by another officer and are now a warrant has been issued, and they're just happen to be because they're dealing with so many people in the downtown. And we put out a wanted list and we put out photos of people that are wanted for shoplifting, things like that. So the intelligence level has increased and they're having face-to-face contact. So they're the ones that will be initiating the arrest.
Okay, thank you.
Bail compliance unit. So this unit deals with individuals that are on bail and are breaching their bail. They do a lot of surveillance and a lot of follow-up, make sure people are maintaining their curfews and things like that. Total for till April, 26 arrests, 120 new charges laid. Compliance checks have been 42 and surveillance hours are 128. So we only have 2 officers in that unit, so they're obviously doing a fair bit of work. They work a lot with John Howard and things like that. So, and our drug unit, obviously. Force report. Year-to-date incidents for use of force for 2026 is at 15. Sorry, is that year-to-date instances at 15, year-to-date reports is at 25. So down from 2025, but for incidents, but it's up for reports. So reason for that, 3 or 4 officers go to the same call. They all use force. Potentially they all have to do a report, but it's only 1 incident. That's why you see the variance in the number of reports. Again, for the month of March alone, 9 incidents, 18 reports. You're seeing a lot more firearm point and firearm drawn out of the use of force because you're dealing with a lot more high risk occurrences. And typically, if we're doing drug warrants or something like that within that month, you'll see those reports in the use of firearms because they're often you're going to warrants for drugs and guns go together. So
Have you noticed an increase in firearms within the community that have led to the requirement of police using their firearms or pointing their firearms?
Yeah, so I would suggest, without having the stats in front of me, some are imitation firearms, some but you know, you treat every firearm as though it's a real firearm. So yeah, I would suggest that there's a lot more information out there about people carrying firearms. You certainly are seeing the culture go from, you know, the level of violence is increased, where you'd see maybe assaults and stabbings. Now firearms seem to be present at more of these types of calls. And again, if, you know, we have information, somebody may have a firearm with them, our officers respond to that as a firearm, so.
Do you have any, like, would we know where this is coming from, where the firearms are coming? Like, obviously there's, you know, they're not like purchased through the registered.
Yeah, so I mean, there's a number. I mean, the fake firearms can be bought at a
Anyway.
toy store and painted black. The true guns are coming, of course, from the United States. Typically, they're coming across the border. I don't think they're coming across our border. I think they're being brought into Southern Ontario and brought up here. There's no secret that our drug supply is coming from Southern Ontario and Golden Horseshoe. And those individuals, the way they deal with their problems in Southern Ontario is through use of firearms, and that's the way they're bringing that culture up here. So. There's been a major effort, Guns and Gang Unit. There's, you know, there's lots of proactive enforcement. The individuals, when we get involved in projects, we're finding guns and drugs often together, especially for gang members from the south, because that's how you protect yourself and protect your product down south. So
Right, so they're riskier calls that are officers.
yeah, every vehicle stop is a potential for somebody to have a gun in the car when we're dealing with drug dealers, right? So, and often. The reason they're here is to protect the product, and they'll send soldiers up here to overwatch kind of the operation, and they're here to make sure nobody rips off their drugs. And it's not necessarily even to deal with the police, it's to deal with other dealers and other gangs. So, but unfortunately, it's the spillovers that we are responsible for making sure we manage that in a safe way. That's why we have tactical teams, armored vehicles, and certainly respond with a appropriate use of force whenever we're dealing with those individuals.
Okay.
Complaints against police. This last board meeting, in March, there have been 7 new complaints. The following is a summary of the complaints. So we have often a number of the complaints will get weeded out either at LECA or viewed to be frivolous complaints. So we have a number of those complaints are still ongoing, and again, they're at various stages of investigation. So for 2025, at this time, we had 12, 2026 so far, there have already been 18. So those are, again, those LECA complaints that come in from the public, and each one of them has to be kind of reviewed, managed, and often LECA will, when they receive the complaint, have us do the investigation ourselves, so they bounce it back to us, and then they follow up with that. So there's a bit of a rise there. Again, people can complain if they want. There's certainly a mechanism for complaint, and people choose to take advantage of that. So. Letters of appreciation. I won't go through them, but we had a couple of submissions either through the website or sent to the service through 911 or so through various forms of communication. But obviously, like I said, there's several officers doing a great job, and people are reaching out and showing their appreciation. Lincoln, anything stood up for you on the letters of appreciation?
No, we do push it from time to time for social media, try to make sure that folks know they can say nice things about our officers, not just be elected, so try to share those as much as we possibly can.
And Police Week being involved, you know, it always generates some thank yous and things like that, because we're out in the public a fair deal during Police Week, and certainly, you know, showing the community that we're partners with them. So we tend to get a lot big uptake there. So that would have been for Won't Be Till May, but I mean, this is consistent. We are getting, you know, a lot of our officers get thank yous, and letters are getting submitted more and more. So it's good to see. Obviously, they were trying to build that reputation, that relationship with the community. So. Okay.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions or comments on those reports, everyone? Thanks. We'll move on to item 8, which is the Finance Committee quarterly update, please.
All right. So what you have in front of you is the budget results as of March 31st, 2026, which is our first quarter, as well as projections I prepared based on best estimates and current data at the time. I always like to highlight a projection is based on the information we have at the time, and sometimes all things remain the same at that time. Still early in the year. but presenting a positive picture. So if we look at the yellow column, that is the projected surplus deficit. The very bottom there, I'm projecting slightly over $350,000 surplus. All things remaining the same this year. That is driven primarily by revenues that we've received that were either unanticipated.
Just a second. The mayor needs a breath here.
Already told me how awesome that was.
Before you even showed up,
Yeah.
you showed up with a big smile.
And it's a projection, everybody. That's all.
Okay.
That's not
Don't
gonna
get
do work.
excited.
We got ways to go yet.
Like, I like to premise it with that, right?
3/4 of the year.
But we did see, our court security grant has been decreasing the last few years. We saw, an unanticipated increase for 2026 of almost $300,000, so that helped us out. As well as 2 one-time grants, through proceeds of crime for equipment in the amount of $191,500. That is a net zero to our budget. You're gonna see it in the revenue projection. So on the expense side, the capital expense side, you'll see those expenditures coming through. So it does get reflected in our revenues, but it is a net zero impact to the service. We are seeing an increased trend. You'll see that in the projection for fees and user charges. We've seen year to date a 10% increase in record checks, a 100% increase in FOI requests, and a 9% increase in ROI requests. So I've reflected that in the projection for fees and user charges. Salaries and benefits, anticipating them to be slightly more than budgeted, due primarily to some unexpected personnel related costs. In the first quarter, we had 3 employees leave through either retirement or resignation. These 3 employees will not be replaced. 3 that were above our complement at that time, but they were budgeted for. Any subsequent retirements or resignations will bring us below approved complement for 2026. So we will be hiring to replace those. And then I anticipate benefits to be slightly lower than the budgeted amount, due primarily driven by resignations. They're going to be budgeted for benefits for the whole year for them, and they're not going to be a year for that. So basically, you'll see a dip on that. Other than that, expenditures, slightly potentially coming in over budget, primarily due to fuel charges. We budgeted, based on what Energy Canada thought was going to happen in 2026. At the time we did our budget, information has changed, with world events going on. So I do anticipate that we will be over budget in our fuel costs. Other than that, most other costs are riding about where we expected them to be. That's it.
Thank you. Questions or comments for Angela, please, Matt?
Thanks, Angela. Is the increase in user fees that you're projecting, over and above what we had you include in the budget? Okay.
Yeah.
And then, because we had changed that number at budget.
We changed the price of them, but we're seeing an increase in the number of them that we're getting now.
Gotcha.
Yes.
And then is the projection based on March 31st numbers?
Yes.
Okay. And then ROIs, you said FOIs and ROIs are what?
ROIs are, release of information, I believe the R stands for, and then FOI is freedom of information.
Right.
FOI tends to be more robust requests and more costly, more time consuming. ROI tend to be the smaller ones. You get them often from, insurance companies and.
I see. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Anything further
very
for
nice
Angela?
report.
I have a couple questions. Angela, did I hear you say that FOI had increased 100%?
Yeah, I mean, the percentage sounds funny when it goes from 7 to 14, but I think
It's not an actual huge number, so that's just a blip.
those
Well,
ones are the time consuming ones though too, right? So they cost more money.
we heard your caution that it's just a projection,
Yeah.
but I just want to take a moment and thank you, particularly. I know a huge component of that is on your shoulders, and also chief and deputy chief, since what a difference a year has made, you know? And I recognize that when you've got a huge, formidable corporation like you have, and there are so many factors that are not negotiable, that we just have to provide it, whatever the price is, we have to fuel, we just have to provide it, guns, we just have to provide them. You've done an amazing job, and I want to thank you and thank your staff for putting finance as a priority this year. It's a very difficult thing, particularly in policing, where that's generally not your priority. So excellent work. Thank you very much. And Chief has a report on staffing, deployment and secondary activities. This is item 9.
So again, this is a report kind of mandated under the new act. We've had some new hires, part-time shift, part-time relief staff. So these would all be civilian staffing hiring to backfill positions that either have been individuals have left or we had the 911 spots. These are going to backfill the 911 people that are going to move into the SERP roles. So we also had a retirement. Inspector Mike Davey retired in March.
Did you know that?
No,
Did you?
Yeah.
Is your house a lot fuller now?
honeydew just got bigger.
Yeah, no doubt. Peyton Beelhart's also retired, so she's a young officer. Left for decision to retire and take advantage of other opportunities in her life. So she's no longer working with us. All of that, of course, is kind of bringing our staffing numbers closer to our actual and authorized. So our authorized is 163 at this point. Our actual is 164. We have 4 seconded individuals. We are aware, although they're not on this report, we are aware of 2 people who have put in their retirement letters and will be going in the next month or 2. So we will again be back into hiring. Not for this report again because it just happened. We also hired 7 new special constables that started on Monday. So that's the backfill losses that we've had. So we're inching our way closer to that point where now we've got to be worried about retirements and how we're going to have a pool prepared and things like that. So I'll get kind of deeper into that with some opportunities I think we have to offset some of those concerns about everybody going at the same time and putting this on the local. So at this point, that's kind of where we stand though. Obviously, list of your secondary activities, Greyhound games, as we've talked about many times, is booked through central booking center, so everybody has fair advantage, and there's no individuals that are being given priority to work a Greyhound game over anybody else. It's a sign-up system, so just a requirement that we do the presentation of the board. So there's a presentation. Are there any questions, sir?
I think I ask this every time, so apologies if I don't remember what the answer is, but the authorized versus actual. Does the actual include the 4 secondments or are those backed out of the actual?
So the actual for us is the 4 secondments are included. So we're saving 4 salaries off our actual. So we're actually paying 160 officers with 164 on staff because we're having offsets by the secondment.
Right, okay.
And we did have a bit of a, we've had some WSIB stuff that occurred, and that'll be for close because it's personal information. But so that number in January, we're authorized to hire 3 more, and so that number will be 166, and we'll sit there for a while. I'm assuming,
With 4 still in the con.
with 4, we'll continue on this comment at this point. All those get renewed usually on either a 2 or 3 year contract. Very rarely do we get a call from somebody we have a comment with saying we want to get out of it. Normally we're pulling officers back, and then we don't foresee that happening anytime soon.
Okay.
These secondments are where?
One's at OPC, one's to CISO, one's to human trafficking, one is to victim by class. So which does, anytime a sexual assault occurs, a special report gets done, and then it gets reviewed to see if there's connections to any other areas, so that we've just seconded an officer to that unit, run by the OPP, but out of our office here. So OPC is obviously teaching at the police college, and then CISO will be our intelligence bureau, and human trafficking, obviously they're all working on our drug and crime suppression unit. So they're within the building, they're not sent away somewhere, they're all working here and performing duties for the Sault Ste. Police Service on behalf of their specific units. So yeah.
Anything further on that report? Thank you. We're gonna move to item 10, which is the update of board policies.
Excuse me, Noel, can
Yeah.
you get, I'll move her in a second to accept
Yeah.
that report.
Thank you, Lisa. Marchie and Matt, thank you. That's carried. And now we'll move to those board policies and just gonna do a very skeletal outline, and then I'm gonna ask Lisa to kind of color in the blanks for me. But police, as you can appreciate, have a host of policies that they're required by legislation to have. And you really need somebody, monitoring that, making sure that it's current and up to date. And Lisa has been very sort of proactive in that. She has a proposal where this would be farmed out to a third-party agency that would come and review all of the policies, make sure that they're compliant with the legislation, and make sure that there are other things like, you know, that the language is archaic. So we want to make sure that that's current. And it's very timely and important, particularly with the province doing its province-wide audit. We would like to say that our policies are up to date or that they're on the pathway. Lisa, can you put in some details to that?
So I received, this is Dave Preston. He was, his name was given to me from the IOP. And I reached out to other services that have used him with positive feedback. He will give us, there'll still be some work on my part. He'll send us back, a grouping of policies, all of the policies that are required under the CSPA. Obviously, myself and through Lincoln and the chief will have to make sure that they meet our services criteria, I'll say. But he's gonna take the bulk of the work out of it and bring us up to speed. We are not compliant right now. Some of our policies haven't been updated since the 90s. We have somewhere in the area of 160 policies, some of them very, very old. And I just saw on the IOP website today, I did a training session with them, and there's 61 mandated policies through the CSPA. So I'm hoping that those would be the ones that he'll cover off. And then we'll have, for myself, we'll have a starting point. I can get those all up to speed, and then we can move forward with the ones that are recommended by the IOP and the police governance that we, in addition to. And I think for the $3,000, I think it's a really, really good investment to just get us very quickly to a point where it takes me so much time. Lincoln can attest to this. He does policies for the service. They're so time consuming. Like it takes 10 hours for every policy just to get them ready to be reviewed. And he's going to give us everything in a one go. So I think it's a good investment for $3,000.
Can you just highlight the timing it's going to take him and just reiterate the costing again, please?
So he wants $1,500 initially, and then it's $1,500 when he's completed. $1,500 for the assessment review, and then $1,500 upon completion. He says in here travel and accommodation costs for any on-site visits. I don't see that as being necessary. I think we'll be able to deal with everything virtually. I don't know why he'd have to physically come here. I can email everything that he needs back and forth. I don't know that he gave a timeline per se. Timeframe, review assessment stages should start once a copy of all of his policies are received, based on his current workload. He's saying in a timely manner. Yeah, maybe by the end of July, but yeah.
Okay, thank you. Is there questions?
It would be really nice for me to get them
Comments?
during the summertime when we are off on board meetings, right?
Mhm. Questions for Lisa on this?
Yes, I actually do. So basically he will take like the antiquated policies and essentially get rid of them, right? Make sure that they fit into the,
No, I think that will be my job, is to go through the old policies, and we'll probably rescind them in a board meeting.
okay,
And then we will approve all of the new ones that he gives to us and then move forward.
okay, perfect. So there'll be,
Yes, I'll review them to see if there's any that we need to keep in place that are very specific to our service,
okay.
that don't fall under the CSPA, but that are service ones that we wanted.
Mhm.
We'll keep those, we'll rescind the rest, and we'll move forward with a clean slate.
Okay.
Of a new set of policies.
Anything else?
I'm trying to recall the specifics of it, but I'm having a hard time drawing on what they are. I thought during my previous term on the board, which would have been like 3 or 4 years ago now, that there was a policy review, and maybe it was the service policies, and I thought it was, I want to say it was led by maybe Officer Burns.
The only thing I remember, Officer Burns coming back for us to do a shed audit for us years ago. He did an audit of the, then copy policy, part of that would have been policy audit
Okay.
of our exhibit shed. And that's
Gotcha.
from back when maybe Angela can.
We did do a review of policies under Chief Stevenson several years ago, to make sure they complied with equity.
Yes, this is what I'm thinking. of,
Oh, I'm
yes.
sorry, yes.
Those are service
policies.
Okay.
Yeah, so we did a
Gotcha.
review of, recruitment, hiring, kind of, and then Lincoln worked on that as part of the,
Yeah, recruiting and training and hiring and making sure that we were,
with an eye to equity, diversity, and inclusion, essentially.
Yes, we consulted with a Cano, if I remember correctly.
yep.
Yeah.
Consulted with a number of community partners, and we have a third party that helped us with that as well.
Company out of Ottawa
Alright.
prepared the
Gotcha.
interviews. And
Okay.
so,
I'm not,
kind of very focused with equity, diversity, and inclusion and the mindset, and that was service policies.
yes, different from what we're dealing with here. Okay,
And
thank you.
then we'll have an opportunity to review the policy.
Absolutely, they'll come to a board. I won't over and like, I won't send them all at once. We'll do the maybe in groupings of 5 or 10, where you'll have a chance to review them, and there has to be resolution to pass them. So, yeah, they'll all come to board meetings.
Yeah.
I'll need your input, is the truth, because there'll be some things that the board will want to change in them. He can't specifically gear them to your service. He doesn't know the workings of our service. So through myself, I'll review them to see, and then I can highlight things, because Lincoln would deal with the chief and things that don't correlate with their policies, and then the board would see them for approval and make any changes at that time. It's still gonna be a big job, but it would get us there faster, I think.
Mhm.
Anything further? Thank you. Does anybody want to move this? So we can move forward with the retention of this individual to update our policies? Archie, for the second, Matt? That's carried. And as I alluded in our last topic, the chief is now going to give us a little update on this province-wide inspection that is being conducted.
So yeah, I thought I saw Tom on, Tom's here, so I'll, if I'm speaking out of turn, Tom, or there's more updates than what I have here today, please feel free to chime in, that'd be great. They've identified kind of the lead for the province-wide inspection to examine police integrity and anti-corruption practices. As Honorable William Horrigan, I'm assuming I'm pronouncing the name correctly, if not. We haven't received any direction as to time, date frames, anything like that. However, that is happening province-wide. The topics of interest, as we've been advised, will be span of control, including review of methods of effectiveness supervision, vetting of officers and civilian members at recruitment and ongoing basis, access to police databases. We audit some of these things already, so evidence property management obviously is going to be a ongoing concern. We do an audit for evidence property management yearly. Substance abuse and fitness for duty, so are kind of the general terms that they'll be looking to. Tom, would you like to speak at all on that? Might have a little more information than I do. Nothing, like I said, we haven't received any information about when it's happening in our service specifically, but I know it'll be something that'll be moving forward here in the near future, I'm assuming.
Well, I don't have much more to offer. I can confirm, everything the chief just informed the board on. That's all accurate. The inspection led by former Justice Horrigan and his team, they're all external to the IOP. It's the Inspector General has assembled a team essentially outside of the inspector and appointed them as inspectors to conduct this. So they're busy, I presumably, planning. And as soon as that's complete, I assume, we'll have more information to share on timelines and how it will impact Sault Ste. Marie and the boards. But in the meantime, I don't have much to offer. They're doing their thing, and they're doing a very good job of doing it independently of us, or I should say me.
Okay, so it sits where it sits. We're going to continue to make sure we're doing our checks and balances here internally. And then we'll have it once we have an idea of when they're going to be coming to Sault Ste. Marie, we'll let everybody know.
And as I understand it, maybe the chief or Tom can correct me, this was born out of the situation in Toronto with police corruption and crime and Project South. It's sort of a preemptive audit. The way it was explained to me at the Zone 1A meeting was this isn't a gotcha kind of a witch hunt. This is to ensure that there's compliance. I understand that the province is happy to work collaboratively and get things in order that are not currently in order. So we'll see it as it unfolds, I guess. That was just for everybody's information. There's nothing further. And then we have a request, as we do, I think, annually for money for the Alzheimer's walk. And I think historically we've given $500.
So I pulled up the minutes from last year's meeting, and yes, we did, we resolved to donate $500. And at that time, Angela had advised us that donations do fall under the allowed expenditures of our auction account. So yeah, last year we did approve it for 500.
Yeah, and it's from a homie. It's from Sandra Turco. It's her request. She and her husband are very engaged in the Alzheimer's, and our local Alzheimer's Society, I will just attest, they're an outstanding organization. Very, very, very helpful for crummy disease. Does anybody want to move the request for the donation? I'll move it. Is there a seconder? Archie, thank you. Can we vote on that? That's carried. And finally, we have new business. And I have one matter I just wanted to share with everyone. I was talking with Lisa and the rest of the executive about how we can streamline these meetings. And so we're proposing that we're going to adopt in the next meeting, much like City Council does, a consent agenda. So all of those reports that we just went through, with the chief reading through statistics and Angela highlighting, that'll come under a consent agenda. You can yank it out and say, I've got questions on it, just as you do at City Council. As a matter of fact, Lisa might have some questions for Rachel or Madison in terms of how to unfold that for us. It was also mentioned at the Zone 1A meeting that it was a more streamlined way to go through, these police board meetings. We'll still do it the same way, where we're doing everything in open first, and then we'll go into close to accommodate the media as much as we can. But hopefully it'll expedite sort of the rote reports that we see month after month after month. Yeah, and we're gonna pilot it in June. We'll try it in our June meeting, see how that goes.
If I could, Nuala, just before we move into closed, we have the addendum item, which is the annual report that Lincoln has brought forward.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yes, the annual report. So, Lincoln, I'll let you speak to it since you had
Yes, please.
you did the majority of the putting together of the annual report. So.
Yeah, so every year under the CSBA, it's mandated that we essentially present the year that was for the service for the previous year. We put together our 2025 annual report. It's quite similar to the 2024, but essentially it showcases and highlights, the work of our members throughout 2025, highlighting big projects like Project Kentucky, and obviously the opening of our Division 2 unit officially. And most importantly, which is the mandate of the CSPA, is to kind of speak to our current strategic plan. So as in previous years, we've included a bit of a spreadsheet here that outlines our strategic plan here on the left, and the bullet points on the right is kind of speak to how we've accomplished some of those goals we set out in the strategic plan throughout 2025. So obviously it's important that we communicate these things with the people of Sault Ste. Marie and Prince Township. Obviously we're proud of all the work that has been done. We really try to showcase that. Obviously we had new leadership through 2025, and the chief and deputy and the new board. So all those different things are featured throughout the annual report. I apologize for kind of the late sending of the annual report. It was yesterday. We were hoping to have this out for Police Week, but timing just didn't quite accommodate that. So if there's any questions or concerns or any amendments that you'd like to see, please let us know. And we'll post this publicly on our website officially, probably within the next few days if the board sees fit.
And just so everybody's aware, our strategic report is good until through 2027. So it's the topics, but we'll be doing a new strategic report starting next year for 2028. And it's usually a three-year plan, strategic plan. So great way to highlight the work that's being done and just speak to some of the changes that have happened within the organization. It's mandated, so we have to do it, but I think we do a nice professional job, and it gives the community an opportunity to kind of get in one document kind of what's been happening within their city. So.
Thanks. I wanted to give kudos to whoever drafted it. I suspected it was Lincoln.
What?
A lot of credit to my colleague Chelsea. She does a lot of the graphic work for us for sure.
2025 was, as you read the report, you're reminded, a very upside down year in the service, including at the board. And I don't think the report tried to hide that. It laid it all out fairly clearly and succinctly. And I thought it went through the history that was fairly well. And for that, I think it's a good reflection of all that took place last year.
Anything else for Lincoln or the chief? It's great, Lincoln. It looks great. It's very visually appealing. Thank you for all the hard work that goes into it. It's a real drag to do a year-end report like that. That makes it still, like you're saying, frank and honest, but it's still exciting, optimistic, and forward-looking. And the graphics are outstanding. I think they're really. It's very visually appealing. Thank you very much.
And it was done on time.
We're well ahead of
Yeah,
schedule.
we're good on our
Second
schedule.
year in a row.
Ahead of schedule, under budget. We're killing
What a
it this
day.
year.
What
What?
a day.
Mhm.
But we require a resolution for that, Nuala.
Thank you. So could I have a mover to accept the year-end? Amanda, thank you. And Matt has seconded, and that's carried. Our next meeting date is set for June 24th. That's our last meeting, I think,
It is
until
for the
the
summer.
fall time. And if we could move into closed, and the reason is we're going to be talking about certain items that are properly discussed in closed session, including litigation, potential litigation, human resources matters, and some matters that are of solicitor-client privilege. So if I might have a mover that we could go into close, please. Amanda, and seconded by Matt, and that's carried. We'll take a little break, I guess.
So we'll do the media and
Yeah.
come back.
Okay, thank you. Mover to adjourn, please. Amanda, Matt, and that's carried. We're adjourned at 3:40 p.m. Thank you.